Allow me to begin with a disclaimer. I do not hate your favorite NBA team. On the contrary, I want nothing but the absolute best for everyone's choice squad. I hope that all of your team's players enter training camp having gained 12 pounds of muscle and ducked under 10% body fat. I want everyone to have a career year. I hope that for your team to have more nationally televised games. I cross my fingers for each roster to enjoy perfect health all season long en route to obliterating expected win totals. Don't ask me for a singular championship pick. I'm wishing for every team to finish next year with the Larry O'Brien trophy. Reality dictates otherwise though. So let's take a look at why your favorite NBA team won't win the NBA Finals this year. Number 6, Brooklyn Nets. In a nutshell, big threes who actually play at the same time are more intimidating than those that do not. So many people want to pin the Brooklyn Nets second round exit on Kevin Durant's shoe size or the relative resilience of the reigning champion Milwaukee Bucks. It's neither. Series aren't won or lost in single moments, and Milwaukee didn't ascend to a different plane of existence not heretofore known. The Nets lost because they are a house of cards trying to stand strong amid a 40-mile-per-hour wind. Collecting megastars is fun, and Brooklyn remains the closest the NBA has to a championship formality. But the inevitability of Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving loses some of its luster when their aggravative absences are just unavoidable. Kudos to Durant for returning to GOAT status after recovering from a torn right Achilles. He still missed more than half of the regular season though. Irving has the injury history everyone thinks Anthony Davis does. Harden ranks second in total minutes through the regular season and playoffs since getting traded to the Houston Rockets. But that only means his hamstrings are operating on borrowed time. Brooklyn's big three joined forces for 14 games last year, 8 in the regular season, 6 in the playoffs. That's less than ideal. Maybe the regular season doesn't matter, cool. The Nets, specifically Harden and Irving, still got trucked by injuries during the playoffs. This team is not inevitable, the combustibility is. Number 5, Golden State Warriors. In a nutshell, Klay Thompson's return won't be enough. So let's get this straight. The Golden State Warriors watched last year as their offense died a slow, painful, eminently predictable death whenever Steph Curry sat on the bench. And their grand response to the lack of secondary shot creation was to avoid adding any secondary shot creation. It's an interesting strategy. Can't wait to see how it works out for them. This is not a Golden State should have traded number 7 Jonathan Kuminga, number 14 Moses Moody, and James Wiseman for player X rant. The star market needs to exist for the Warriors to acquire one. Unless they want to mortgage the next decade for a chance to grow Ben Simmons from an idea to an actual player, that avenue isn't available to them. Working with the mini mid-level expectation also capped what Golden State could do in free agency. It was never going to bag anyone eons better than Patty Mills, but the optics of not spending the mini MLE aren't great, nor is the complete mishandling of the Kelly Oubre Jr. situation. They should have flipped him for something, anything at last year's deadline, or they should have tried to wedge their way into his contract with the Charlotte Hornets. Sign-in trades need to be 3 years in length, but only the first must be guaranteed. Banging on Klay Thompson's to resurrect the title timeline is too risky. He is coming back from a torn ACL and ruptured Achilles, hasn't played basketball in more than 2 years, and doesn't have a concrete debut date. When he does return, he'll rejoin an offense to some extent reliant on a 37-year-old Andre Iguodala, 2 rookies, whatever Wiseman looks like, Draymond Green's aversion to taking shots, and Andrew Wiggins. Put another way, RIP to another year of Steph's prime. Number 4, Los Angeles Lakers. In a nutshell, it's not 2012. Props to the Los Angeles Lakers for keeping so many social media designers busy. Their roster is ripe for engagement. Throw LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, Carmelo Anthony, Marc Gasol, Dwight Howard, and Rajon Rondo onto one of the graphics, caption something like "The Lakers are the problem," and watch it as it resonates with the masses, both enthusiastic and enraged. Anyone completely discounting Los Angeles' championship candidacy admittedly snort clicks with rolled up dollar bills. The Western Conference is wide open, and writing off LeBron is for misogynists. But let's not pretend that there's some juggernaut. Unless you have a time machine that can take us back to roughly 2012. LeBron is LeBron, and also entering his age 37 season. Davis is squarely in his prime at 28, but a walking DMP, not a chronic injury, but still an injury. Melo is 37, Rondo is 35, so is Dwight. Gasol is 37 and fresh off losing minutes to Andre, I swear my rebounds matter, Drummond. Westbrook's arrival means more than every other new addition combined. That's not necessarily a good thing. His bandwidth to lug an entire offense is at the point criminally underrated, but his inability to fit within a larger dynamic threatens to undermine everything. Insist he'll learn to play off the ball at your own peril. It didn't happen in Oklahoma City, or Houston, or Washington. It's not suddenly happening in Los Angeles. And displacing LeBron from The Rock to grease the wheels is not the answer. Less LeBron is never the answer. But it's an especially boneheaded move that when he'd be surrendering possessions to one of the least efficient jump shooters in NBA history. Landing Westbrook could help the Lakers elevate their no LeBron minutes. Awesome. That doesn't mean as much in the playoffs when no LeBron minutes are fewer and further between. And Westbrook's recent track record speaks for itself. Among 124 players to attempt at least 200 shots in the postseason since 2016, his effective field goal percentage ranks 123rd. The Lakers are out on a limb. They better hope the weight of Westbrook's bricks doesn't snap it. Number 3, Milwaukee Bucks. In a nutshell, title defenses are hard. Rattling off 2 straight championships is difficult, and the Milwaukee Bucks haven't done anything to inculate themselves against the field. Depth remains a wart. Getting Grayson Allen, Rodney Hood, Semi Ojeleye, and George Hill while bringing back Bobby Portis is a fine offseason on the margins. Cheaping out on PJ Tucker erases some of those good vibes. He still packs at every position defensive punch. Letting Tucker walk will not be the deciding factor in any failed repeat bid. The Bucks would be too top heavy even with them. That worked out last season. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jrue Holiday, Brook Lopez, and Chris Middleton missed, on average, fewer than 8 games between. Giannis was the only one of the 4 to sit out during the postseason, and those absences came against a fake threat in Atlanta. Staying relatively pat is never enough, not unless you're a super team with a battle-tested depth across the board already in place. The Bucks weren't that. Kevin Durant's big toe negotiated Mike Budenholzer's contract extension. Milwaukee is a deserving champion and a threat to win it all again, but the Eastern Conference is deeper and bound to be healthier. The Bucks are assured neither. Number 2, Philadelphia 76ers. In a nutshell, the Ben Simmons situation has become "this is fine" meme. Things are not so fine for the Philadelphia 76ers. Off-season workout video extraordinaire Ben Simmons has officially requested a trade from the team and doesn't plan to join them for training camp, according to Philadelphia Inquirer Keith Pompey. This is quite the leverage play from someone who shouldn't technically have it. Simmons has 4 years and $146.6 million left on his deal and is coming off an offensive vanishing act on epic proportions in the Eastern Conference semifinal. That arms him with little power beyond training camp holdout. At the same time, the Sixers aren't exactly teeming with advantages. Their asking price for Simmons has been deemed too high precisely because of his contract infinite, verging on prohibitive offensive value. His attempt to force their hand only compromises the shaky position in which they already find themselves. Settling for a so-so Simmons return is seemingly a non-option, but the idea of Ben Simmons far now outstrips the real-life basketball player, making it unlikely Philly finds a taker for the sky-high asking price. And if he's prepared to make life extra awkward leading into training camp, they have to prioritize their win-now window with Joel Embiid. Looming over all this, the Sixers did not get a lot better over the offseason. They're still short of a face-up shot creator on the wings, second-string floor general, and co-star who can spearhead their livelihood through 21 to 82 games. Embiid misses each season. Andre Drummond is now their backup center, which will either go down as a stroke of genius or devolve into utter calamity and nothing in between. Philadelphia hasn't earned any karmic brownie points either. The team got rid of its longtime equipment manager and gutted its scouting department in a cost-cutting move. Now feels like a good time to remind everyone the Sixers are controlled by a trio of billionaires. Much like Simmons made jumpers at open run, the team's immediate outlook is a sham. Number 1, Phoenix Suns. In a nutshell, a team wasn't good enough to win it at all last season, failed to get oppressively better. No team did anything over the offseason to run away with the Western Conference. Good thing, too, because the Phoenix Suns didn't do anything to stop them. Last year was a dream for the orange and purple. The Suns flew under the national radar despite dominating for much of the regular season, only to end up in the NBA Finals and come 2 wins shy of a championship. Full disclosure, they were my pre-playoffs title pick. That type of rise buys goodwill, and Phoenix hasn't done anything to move off its place inside the upper echelon of the West, but their offseason was thoroughly unspectacular, lacking any definite upgrades beyond whatever developmental spikes you cake in for Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton, and Cam Johnson. Still, after dropping 4 straight to the Milwaukee Bucks and retaining Chris Paul, Cameron Payne, and Abdel Nader on cheaper than expected deals, the Suns' big splash was using slightly more than half their mid-level expectation on JaVale McGee, trading for Landry Shamet, and signing Elfrid Payton. Yeah, no. Paul is entering his age 36 season, and is no stranger to getting banged up when the playoffs roll around. Phoenix also just ripped through a Western Conference that was far more dinged up than its own roster. This is not a team that should have been so deliberately running in place. Ayton, Booker, and Bridges have the upward trajectories to render this crankiness futile. But after the Suns were rewarded for their gall last season, it'd have been nice to see them more aggressively pursue upgrades this year. Well guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Tip Top Sports, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching.